Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. You can watch this program live on our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can also hear us live on audio streaming at Evox PBS Receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered to scrutinize the 2026 budget of the Department of Public Works and Highways comprehensively under the National Expenditure Program following reports of alleged insertions worth 51 billion pesos. According to a Malacanang Palace statement through Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro, this budget scrutiny will be a swift but thorough to guarantee transparency and accountability. And here's what the President has to say regarding the budget insertion that led to his decision to review the budget of the public works. And at the same time, the President has ordered to create or establish an independent commission to investigate the anomalous flood control project. So here's what the President Marcos Jr. has to say regarding the budget insertion.
We are putting together the EO that will create the independent commission. The independent commission will be the investigative arm, so that they will continue to investigate whatever information is received. It will be sent to them. They will investigate it, and they will make recommendations as to how to proceed, whether kasuhan itong mga ito or i-ombudsman o dalhin sa DOJ, whatever it is. But they will recommend to the executive what to do with certain parties who have been found to be part of all of this corruption that's been going on, not only in flood control but all of the works of the workings within DPWH. Kasi unfortunately, the more we look, the more we find. Kahit sa 2026 budget, marami pa rin siningit. So talagang it really needs to be cleaned out properly.
That was President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. And then now that's what we are looking for, and that's we are going to look for when the independent commission will be established. And the President, as I mentioned, has ordered to scrutinize the budget of the DPWH for next year. And in a joint press briefing last night, DPWH said that it will work with the Department of Budget and Management to conduct a thorough review, and the latter committed to submit the updated version of next year's budget to Congress in 2 weeks. DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon welcomed the Chief Executive's latest order since he is unfamiliar with the processing of the budget allocation for thousands of projects under the department. Secretary Dizon said the DPWH spending plan for 2026 consists of 700 pages. Here's Secretary Vince Dizon of the Department of Public Works and Highways.
Ang una, narinig naman natin lahat yung direktiba ng Pangulo kanina na pinapa-review niya, pinapa-revisit niya at pinapabago niya ang DPWH budget submission in the National Expenditure Program. No, dala na rin to ng mga na-discover na mga inconsistencies dito sa DPWH budget, no, na nakita naman natin merong mga di umano kumpleto na pero nandun pa rin, di umano double entry, di umano na mga hindi consistent ang mga description ng mga project. So susundan natin ang direktiba ng Pangulo. At para sa akin na pangalawang araw ko pa lang, welcome ito. Welcome itong pag-review, pagrepaso, pag-revisit, at kung kinakailangan, pagbabago nung DPWH budget. No, hindi ko pa nakikita ang ang mga detalye ng budget. No, I was told na ang DPWH budget sa NEP ay 700 pages. DPWH lang. So, kailangan kong intindihin yan. No, hindi ako pamilyar sa proseso ng paano binabudget ang mga libu-libong proyekto ng DPWH. So, kailangan kong tingnan yan. So, susunod tayo sa direktiba ng ating Pangulo. At para naman dun sa kung paano ito gagawin, I think i-guide tayo ng ating Secretary of the Department of Budget and Management. No, kung paano ang proseso, kung paano ang proseso ng pagre-revisa, paano ang proseso ng pagre-repaso, pagbabago, at tingin ko lang kailangan meron itong deadline. No, kasi tayo limitado ang ating oras, no? Kailangan importanteng mapasa natin itong budget na to dahil hindi lang to budget ng DPWH kundi budget ng buong gobyerno. So, tingin ko, nag-usap kami ni Sec Mina, we both agreed on a 2-week timeline. 2 linggo. Maximum. Pwedeng mas maigsi. No, pwedeng mas maigsi. So, kailangan lang syempre pagtrabahuan namin to ng maigi, no? Pupukpukin natin ang DPWH, ang ating mga kasamahan doon, para magkaroon tayo ng honest to goodness review. No, yun talagang tamang review. Sabi ko nga kahapon sa isang interview, kung completed na, para sa akin, sa aking simpleng utak, di tatanggalin natin. Kung doble ang entry, di tatanggalin natin yung isa. No? Pero syempre, hindi naman ganun kasimple din lang yun. Kailangan, dadaan tayo sa proseso, kakausapin natin ang lahat ng mga regions, ng yung implementing units ng DPWH, at syempre, kailangan maayos ang proseso. Kung ano ang mga matatanggal, kung ano ang mga mababago, pero siguro kailangan natin ng panahon doon. Pero tingin ko hindi pwedeng gagampas ng 2 linggo.
And that was DPWH, or Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Vince Dizon. And one aspect of that review is once completed projects are found to have been included again in the spending plan, like what Secretary Vince Dizon said, all the projects will be removed under the NEP. And since the National Expenditure Program cannot be recalled once transmitted to Congress, Undersecretary Castro explained that any correction will be issued through errata. That's a document that amend or remove questionable project entries. And Undersecretary Castro reiterated that President Marcos will not hesitate to veto questionable projects if they survive the congressional budget review process. However, at the House of Representatives, a group of lawmakers led by Deputy Speaker and First District Representative of Antipolo City, Ronaldo Puno, has recommended to the House leadership under Speaker Martin Romualdez to return the 2026 National Expenditure Program to the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, and temporarily stop budget hearings until the reported erroneous entries are fixed. Representative Puno explained the reason behind his group's recommendation to bring the proposed budget back to budget departments, such as mangled budget of some districts, as well as missing entries, double appropriations, and oversized lump sum allocations. And that's in line with President Marcos Jr.'s order and call to the DPWH to review the budget of the department. So there's going to be two tasks that both executive and legislative department will do to review the budget of the DPWH, and at the same time review the NEP for 2026, or the budget proposal for 2026. The congressman from Antipolo further expound that they do not want to be suspected of any untoward action, hence justifying the decision to redo the entire submission of the budget to Congress. So let's hear the statement of Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno in a press briefing yesterday at the House of Representatives.
We just came from a very lengthy meeting of party leaders. No, we have been watching all of the developments, of course, like you, and we have been constantly talking to one another, even late at night, no, to discuss the problems that have arisen with respect to this 2026 budget. As you know, last week or even earlier, we went to you and explained to you our misgivings about the 2026 budget with respect to the Department of Public Works. How the district budgets all over the country were mangled, and how really serious questions needed to be raised about those budget entries. We raised questions about whether or not the DBM was handling the budget preparations properly, and whether or not what was coming to us was a result of irresponsibility or some oversight that maybe can be justified. No? And we worked, frankly, with the DBM very closely on how to settle all of these things. But, you know, certain serious developments have come about. No, I mean, the Secretary of Public Works has been relieved, of course. He has resigned. And our new, very energetic Secretary of DOTR has become also the new Secretary now of DPWH, which has resulted in the President's instructions to them to do a sweeping review of everything, not just the organization, but also of the budgets that they had submitted. You know, how do we move forward when what has been given to us is very difficult to deal with? For example, in the Department of Public Works, for example, just in our National Unity Party, I've reported to you already previously that maybe 90% of the district budgets were really mangled. In discussions with the other parties, it appears to be a common experience rather than a rare experience. There are already other things we are coming up with in other agencies. No, I will advance to you the information that in the Department of Agriculture, there are indications of similar problems, specifically with reference to farm-to-market roads in the amount of something like 10 billion pesos. No? And we are getting reports that these were also like peddled, no, to certain parties. There are other concerns, very many concerns that have been raised in our party leaders meeting. So we have decided as a group to recommend the return of the 2026 national budget to the DBM because we do not know how to deal with it. We have to practically redo the entire submission to us, and we do not want to be suspected of any untoward action. We don't want it to appear that we are not accepting the rightful recommendations of the DBM And on the other hand, we do not want to be accused of also of replacing or amending by errata a huge portion of the national expenditure program that they have submitted to us. So we have decided that in good conscience, we cannot begin deliberations on this national budget, and we owe it to all of you that that this is allocated properly, transparently, free of corruption, and we believe that at this point, the national expenditure program submitted by the DBM falls short of that standard. So we are recommending to the Speaker that we return the 2026 NEP to the DBM, and we are asking our members now to refrain from any further participation in any other budget hearings until this matter is resolved. Okay? There's been enough and too much distrust already going around, especially with respect to the House of Representatives. And we do not want this thing to continue, so we toss it back to the DBM so that they can find a logical explanation and resolution to all of these things. Now, the question has been asked. We asked our House legal counsel, as we are wont to do in situations like this, whether this is possible. Can we return the NEP to the DBM? So, and this is the initial opinion given to us, and we will give you copies of this, but allow me to read it to you. In light of the admissions publicly made by the department secretaries that there are erroneous entries in the National Expenditure Program transmitted to the House of Representatives, the House will be justified in returning the same to the Department of Budget and Management so that it can effect corrections, so that the House can deliberate on the budget that actually reflects the proposal, intent, and desire of the executive. There is nothing in the Constitution or in the law that prevents the House from undertaking the action. In fact, the action becomes necessary at this time. It is in the interest of the public that this must be done. Under the Administrative Code of 1987, subsequent to the submission of the budget to Congress, the President may transmit to the Congress from time to time such proposed supplemental or deficiency appropriations as are, in his judgment, number one, necessary on account of laws enacted after the transmission of the budget, or number two, otherwise needed in the public interest. This is an option available to the DBM too, is to appeal to the President regarding these powers. This would entail piecemeal corrections, however. Returning the document for corrections will be more systematic and practical. And instead of us having to correct the district budgets of more than 250 districts, perhaps the DBM can now do what it should have done in the first place and correct these matters before they send it to us. So this is the position that the party leaders have taken, and we hope that you will all understand our intention that this thing be resolved correctly and properly. We in the House were the ones who first discovered all of these things. Now, many people are now, of course, echoing our concern about these matters. We do not believe that we should fix what other people caused. No, we are not the ones that should fix the problems that have begun in other places. The departments are pointing fingers at the DBM. The DBM is pointing fingers at the other departments. We feel they should settle their disputes first, come up with the correct budget formulations before they send them to us, so that we can, reasonably proceed on the path that is required moving forward.
And you just heard the first district representative of Antipolo City, and also the deputy speaker of the House, Representative Ronaldo Puno. And besides House Speaker Romualdez, another member of the lower chamber was notified of the plan, namely the House Committee on Appropriations headed by Representative Mika Swansing. And since the time left for the budget season gets even tighter, and Congress acknowledged this setback, Congress will most likely have a tighter schedule to scrutinize the proposed budget for each agency, programs, and projects of the government, and to ensure that the budget deliberations for 2026 NEP will be finished on time. House Deputy Speaker Janet Garin suggested canceling the break of the House just to ensure that the 2026 budget, or national budget rather, is passed. That's in Congress by October, and by December at the Senate, and before the year ends, in time for President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s signature, which will in turn will be converted to General Appropriations Act. And despite the recommendations from fellow lawmakers, Representative Swansing said that all budget deliberations of all government agencies will continue today until September 16th. So just to catch up with the timeline or the schedule of the budget hearings of all government agencies. And before we hear the Chief Executive's warning to Congress, let's hear of what Secretary Amena Pangandaman has to say regarding the proposal of the Congress, like what we have played earlier, to return the whole budget proposal or the NEP back to DBM. Let's listen in.
Yes, it's unprecedented. Never pa nito nangyari. Tinanong ko dito sa DBM kung meron ng occasion or situation na similar to that. Hindi pa yan nangyayari ever. You know, yung General Appropriations Act, pag tinignan mo yan, it's like a regular bill kung paano siya maging batas, di ba? Ipopropose, kung executive admin version yan, ipopropose ng executive sa Congress, the Congress will either pass it, or not pass it, or upuan. Ganun lang yun. Again, ulitin ko, gagayain ko siya in my simple mind, ganun siya. Di ba? Kung ayaw nyo, upuan nyo, ganyan. But this time, dahil nakarating nga po sa amin yung mga problema na nakita ng ating mga kasamahan sa Congress at saka sa Senate, at binigyan na po tayo ng direktiba ng ating mahal na Pangulo na ayusin yung mga nakitang mali. So, may 2 linggo po tayo, or even earlier, no? Baka kaya. It could be earlier kasi kung si Senator Lacson nga, nakita niya ng kaagad-agad. So, I think with the new leadership here, kaya din nila tingnan yan, di ba? So, ipapadala natin sa kanila yung bagong listahan, yung mga changes na mangyayari doon. Sa tingin po namin, mas madali yon na proseso at procedure kesa magbalikan tayong ganyan. Kasi never pa po siya nangyari. Diba? Pag never pa nangyari, baka umakit pa kung saan-saan yan.
That was Budget and Management Secretary Amena Pangandaman. And if we can recall, in his fourth State of the Nation address, President Marcos Jr. made a stern warning to Congress that he would not sign any budget that does not align with the NEP, and he will do everything to review the budget. And he is willing to veto a provision under the budget proposal if it found anomalous. And the Chief Executive will not be afraid if a reenacted budget will be implemented. Here's the President.
Therefore, for the 2026 national budget, I will return any proposed general appropriations bill that is not fully aligned with the national expenditure program. And further, I am willing to do this even if we end up with a reenacted budget. Hindi ko aaprubahan ang kahit anong budget na hindi alinsunod sa plano ng gobyerno para sa sambayanang Pilipino.
And that was President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. as he made a warning to congressmen if they don't reach a consensus on the budget deliberations, and if the president found any insertions made in the budget proposal, he will veto it, even if the country or if the even if the Congress will not enact a budget which will lead to a reenacted budget. But in the meantime, so as we are focusing this issue, we have an information from Senator Ping Lacson just this morning, because Senator Ping Lacson said that the Congress cannot return the NEP or the National Expenditure Program back to DBM or to Malacanang Palace, but it will need a smarter option available. And the House of Representatives, Senator Ping Lacson said, cannot return the NEP for 2026 to Malacanang over the mangled entries, as what Representative Ronaldo Puno has said earlier as we play the video. But there is a better option available, Senator Ping Lacson said this morning. And Senator Lacson said the Department of Public Works and Highways can submit errata sheets through the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, for Congress consideration. So this proposal made by Senator Ping Lacson, this is an alternative option regarding the insertions that was made or that was included in the NEP for 2026. So Senator Lacson offered a better solution rather than returning the document back to DBM, and that is to submit just a piece of or pieces of a document containing the changes that needs to be modified or added or edited rather at that kind of document. So this is a wait and see development. So, but right now the ball is in the Department of Budget and Management, and eventually in the Executive Department. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service, together with our technical team headed by Milo Janela, and on our wirecast, Hero Lucero, and on our audio streaming operator, we have Leo Magpayo. And I'm your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.